Welcome back. Participation in the Thrift Savings Plan is at an all-time high. The FERS participation rate's 94%, and the rates for active duty military are up to nearly 77%. Kim Weaver's Director of External Affairs at the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. Kim, you and I probably both remember the all-time high song, Rita Coolidge. I thought of that as soon as I read these numbers. What does this say that you're, especially the military rate, 77%, you and I have only been talking about military being able to join the TSP for 2-3 years now?
What it says is the power of automatic enrollment. People get enrolled and they largely set it and forget it, which when you're doing a retirement plan is pretty much what you want. You don't want to ignore it entirely, but you do want to just do your stuff and move on.
Number of issues taken up at the board this month. One of them that people are concerned about, obviously, is security. Everybody's concerned all across the government about security, and it looks like you've made some improvements, according to the auditors, and not just yourselves, in your security posture. FSMA compliance looking pretty strong.
Yes, we were really, as we've been talking about this for several years, and the board has spent many years, some money, a lot of money, a fair amount of money, and a lot of work to get our information security program where we wanted it. We got seven out of 8 are at 4s, which is managed and measurable, and we're really pleased with that. Obviously, it demonstrates, and as the auditor said, we have an effective program of information security. We're not going to rest on our laurels. The one where we're not at a 4 was continuity planning. And obviously with the pandemic, we have proven that our continuity is working just fine. However, the auditors needed to do some testing and needed to do some failovers of systems, which, you know, during a pandemic, maybe not the smartest thing for us to do, start playing with systems. But that's where we're really going to put some focus this coming year. 7
out of these 8 audit areas at 4s, as you said, and that last one at a 2. This scale is 1 to 5. Is there a plan to try to move all of these to 5s, or does at some point in time does that become more difficult to do than is worth the investment?
That's exactly the discussion we're having. We want to consolidate the 4s. There's a real the questions. Each domain has a set of questions. We want to consolidate the 4s within those domains. And then we will discuss, the board will discuss whether or not moving to 5s is worth the money, because it becomes, as you said, much more difficult and much more potentially costly to do. And it's not clear that the return on the investment is worth it. That you get additional security that is worth the money and the time.
Another project underway at the TSP is the multi-asset manager project. You have a new asset manager coming on board. What does that look like? Where is that?
The board several years ago decided to have 2 asset managers for each fund, because they wanted to make sure that if there was this black swan event, that somehow BlackRock stopped being able to trade, that we would have a second manager who could keep doing that. So we awarded that second contract to State Street back in the fall. We've been working through all of the interconnection, security, all of that sort of stuff. And starting in April, we will transfer 10% of the C fund to State Street, and then 20% of the F, S, and I funds as we move out into the summer.
Will State Street measure the funds the same way? They're not going to have it like the construct of the C fund, for example, won't be different under their management than it is under BlackRock, right? Right.
They will both be managing the funds to the same index. It's just 2 different managers, but no difference in the underlying funds.
What's the benefit to the participant for having that spread around a little bit, Kim?
The benefit really is a risk management strategy. The participant shouldn't see any change to this, but again, should something happen and one manager not be able to trade, this ensures that participant trades still are made and still goes forward.
We just have a couple of minutes left. You got some new metrics on call centers and stuff like that. What's that? How is that holding up as a result of the pandemic?
As a result of the pandemic, it's been fine. The ice storm in Texas really knocked us for a loop a little bit in February. We had our service metrics is we answer the phone in 20 seconds, which is pretty fast. And the week of the ice storm, where pretty much our entire call center that's located in Texas, whether you were working at home or whether you were working in the call center, if you have no power and no internet, it's pretty hard to do your job. It took 5 minutes to answer the phone. So while it's longer than we wanted, it's still not horrific, but we want to provide the best service we can. And that was an average. So certainly there were people who were waiting longer, and for that we really apologize. Things are getting better now that people are able to get back to work.
Kim Weaver, thanks very much as always.
Thanks, Francis.